This program is brought to you by the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii, a nonprofit organization dedicated to sharing with the community the many benefits of a vegetarian diet. 3 monthly meetings include vegetarian experts found locally and on the mainland, quick and easy cooking demonstrations, and healthful and delicious food samples. Members enjoy an informative quarterly newsletter, social activities, and discounts at many vegetarian-friendly restaurants and health food stores. For an application, call 944-8344. That's 944-8344. Or visit our website at www.vsh.org. vsh.org.
Can everybody hear me? Fine. I do this for a living. I should be okay at it. The Vegetarian Society of Hawaii is a not-for-profit organization that has existed for 11 years. It's one of the largest local vegetarian societies in the United States of America, with approximately 1,100 members. And it is affiliated with national and international vegetarian organizations. This society is rapidly growing. Our mission is to promote human health, animal rights, and protection of the environment by means of vegetarian education. That's our mission. How many people are here for the first time? May I see a show of hands? Oh, my. Thank you for coming. I hope we impress you with our program, and I hope you come back to some of our future programs, and I hope that you may decide to help us in our mission and join our society if you think we're worthy. The Vegetarian Society of Hawaii is somewhat of a contemporary organization, looking at new or at least recent scientific results and following current thought in ethical philosophy and environmental preservation. These are contemporary ideas. Tonight we will go back hundreds and thousands of years to hear classical thoughts on vegetarianism. This is a new dimension in our usual presentation. Vegetarianism is not a new idea, and it's only now that it seems to be a minority, although it's growing. Tonight's topic is vegetarianism in world religions. We have with us tonight 3 leaders of religions that encourage their members to follow a vegetarian diet. And we have a 4th speaker, Dr. Ramdas Lamb from the University of Hawaii, who will give an overview and provide a brief history of vegetarianism in world religions. Our first speaker is Dr. John Westerdahl. Dr. Westerdahl is the Health and Temperance Director for the Hawaii Conference of Seventhday Adventists. He is also the Director of Wellness and Lifestyle Medicine at Castle Medical Center and is also Director of Nutritional Services there. Castle Medical Center is owned and operated by Adventist Health, which is one of the many hospitals worldwide in the Seventhday Adventist hospital system. Dr. Westerdahl has his degree in health education with an emphasis in nutrition. He also has a master's degree in public health, in nutrition and health education. And he's the author of the Millennium Cookbook, Extraordinary Vegetarian Cuisine. Please welcome John Westerdahl.
Aloha. I will be talking and representing the Seventhday Adventist Church, talking about the philosophy of Adventists as it relates to a healthy vegetarian diet and a little bit of the theology about how Adventists promote a vegetarian diet. Seventhday Adventists are Bible-believing Christians who base their faith and hope in the future of Jesus Christ. We are a regular evangelical Christian church, and there's some very uniquenesses, and vegetarianism is one of them compared to other Christian faiths. The Bible, of course, is believed to be the Word of God, and we take our inspiration from that and believe in a literal interpretation of the Bible. And, of course, we believe that having a relationship with Jesus Christ is critical to one's total health and wellness for body, mind, and spirit. Seventh-day Adventist Church was officially organized back in 1863. Adventists in the health and education and in the theologies have institutions all over the world. Worldwide, there's 12 million Seventh-day Adventists. In North America, we have over 900,000 Adventists. Churches worldwide, over 48,000 churches, and in North America, over 5,000 churches. We have schools ranging from preschools all the way to universities and medical schools. Worldwide, we have over 5,000, almost 6,000 schools. In North America, over 1,000. Healthcare facilities, which include Castle Medical Center here in Hawaii and Loma Linda University in California, over 600 medical institutions. What does the word Seventh-day Adventist mean? Seventh day applies to the word Sabbath. Seventh-day Adventists follow the fourth commandment, which requires the observance of the seventh-day Sabbath as a memorial day of creation. This is a day that Adventists go to church, and it's a time to be with the family and devote towards spiritual emphasis. Just like the Jewish faith today, they keep the Sabbath day. This is as outlined in the Ten Commandments. So Adventists go to church on Saturday, which is the biblical Sabbath day, and that's the day Jesus went to worship, and all his disciples as well. On the seventh day thou shalt rest. There's actually a health principle here too, believing that as God rested on the seventh day, man needs to have one day in seven to have rest too. And we believe spiritual rest is important to our health and wellness. The word Adventist means believing in the second coming of Christ. So Seventh-day Adventists do a lot of work in understanding prophecy and believing in the second coming of Jesus Christ. One of the uniquenesses amongst Adventists compared to any other religion in other Christian churches is the emphasis on healthful living, believing that the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Adventists do things in their lifestyle, such as they don't drink intoxicating beverages or alcohol, no tobacco, no unclean meats, as the Bible talks about the unclean meats in the Mosaic health laws. Vegetarian diet is recommended in the church as the optimal diet for health and disease prevention and overall wellness, because there's references to the Bible indicating that that's the better way to go. And no soul-defiling habits, things such as drugs and other types of illicit drugs and things like that. 1 Corinthians 6:19, know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost. Strong emphasis that our bodies are spiritual. They're sacred, and we need to take care of them, and diet and healthy lifestyle things have a lot to do with keeping those temples clean and pure. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. So here you have the body, mind, and spirit emphasis on health and being prosperous. I am come, Jesus said, that you may have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Good health is part of enjoying abundant life. Walk in the ways which the Lord your God hath commanded you, that ye may live, and that it may be well with you, and that ye may prolong your days. So, believing that, Seventh-day Adventists believe by following God's laws and His principles, that we can have long life as well as good health. Seventh-day Adventists have promoted health and wellness. We do this at Castle Medical Center, which is the Seventh-day Adventist hospital here in Hawaii, in promoting classes such as stop smoking programs. The 5-day plan to stop smoking has been known for many, many years. Vegetarian cooking classes, vegetarian food products. Seventh-day Adventists started actually the health food industry here in the United States, and the health food and the vegetarian food industry in the United States in a commercial way. Narcotics education, and of course our hospitals we have as continuing Christ healing ministry. Seventh-day Adventists believe in the creation story as found in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And in the creation story, it talks about the original diet of man, Adam and Eve, followed an all plant-based diet, an all vegetarian diet. Right in the first page of the Bible, you'll see this scripture, with Genesis 1:29, the original diet of man. Behold, he said, I have given you every herb yielding seed, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for food. Ellen G. White one of the founders of the Seventhday Adventist Church, wrote extensively on health and wellness. Actually, one of the most prolific writers on vegetarianism in the history of the United States, and wrote many books on health and wellness, as well as on spirituality and the Bible. You could say in some ways this is the Adventist Bible or book on nutrition. Counsels on diets and health. Ellen White wrote this book, and taking from the Bible and the principles of a healthy diet, put this book together. And this is teachings that the Adventists follow as far as nutrition is concerned. In it, she says, fruits or grains, fruits, nuts, and vegetables constitute the diet that was chosen for us by our Creator, going back to the Genesis story. These foods, prepared in as simple and natural a manner as possible, are the most healthful and nourishing. Here again, in the ministry of healing, it really gives you an overview of the Adventist church and philosophy in regards to health and wellness. The grains with the fruits, nuts, and vegetables contain all the nutritive properties necessary to make good blood. These elements are not so well or so fully supplied by a flesh diet. Adventists believe that God created man to be a vegetarian. We're not really designed to eat meat, and you can see that anatomically compared to the animals like the carnivorous animals with the sharp teeth compared to our blunt teeth. And also when you look at the stomachs of the meat eaters or carnivores, they have short intestinal tracts and longer intestinal tracts like ourselves. We have quite long intestinal tracts for digesting plant foods and for taking the time for fibers to go through and so forth. The principles that Adventists follow as far as healthful living are based on this statement: pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness, that's an old word from Ellen White's days, which means temperance or abstaining from harmful substances, rest, exercise, proper diet, and of course she's talking about a vegetarian diet, the use of water, trust in divine power. These are the true remedies. Every person should have a knowledge of nature's remedial agencies and how to apply them. The Bible talks about the Garden of Eden being the original diet of man. But according to the Bible story, we know about Noah and the flood story when all the vegetation was destroyed. And at that time, man was permitted to eat meat as more of an emergency purpose, not as an ideal diet. But in Genesis 9:4 it says, "But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat." It mentioned not to eat blood, not to eat animal fat as well. In Leviticus 3:17, in the Mosaic health laws, "It shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings that ye eat neither fat nor blood." Leviticus 17:10, "Whatsoever man that eateth any manner of blood, I will set my face against that person who eats blood." The Lord said to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, do not eat any of the fat of cattle, sheep, or goats." When you look at the disease components of meat, it's blood and fat, the saturated fat and the blood that are the things that promote disease. The story of Daniel is actually a great example of a nutrition study in some ways. They refused to eat the royal food, which was high in fat and meats, and they refused to have the alcohol. And he and his men stuck with their vegetarian diet. According to the Bible, they just ate vegetables and water. And after 10 days, he and his men looked healthier and were better nourished than the king's young men who ate the royal food. And God gave Daniel and his men increased knowledge and skill in all literature and wisdom as a result of their healthy diet and lifestyle. You know, that's the problem we have today. We eat like kings and queens. You know, there's Burger King, and there's Dairy Queen, and Imperial Margarine. All those rich foods are killing us today. And Daniel had the opportunity in Babylon to eat all those wonderful rich foods, but he refused it. He wanted to stay with his vegetarian diet and had increased health and wisdom, according to the Bible. That's some of the trichinosis that you find in pork products. Exodus 15:26 says, "And God said, If thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healeth thee." The Egyptians had terrible lifestyles. By the way, they ate everything that crawled or creeped or swam. They ate all types of things. And as a result of that, they had heart disease and cancer and obesity, and they did all types of things that cause illnesses and diseases. Seventh-day Adventists believe, and I think one of the unique things about the Adventist Church is it promotes a holistic approach in the Christian faith, body, mind, and spirit, with a lot of emphasis on healthful living habits, which include the vegetarian diet. In the Garden of Eden in the Bible is the original diet of man being a vegetarian diet. All plant foods. Completely a vegan diet, actually. And it mentions in the Scriptures, too, that the diet, whether you call it heaven or God's new kingdom, will also be a vegetarian diet. There's going to be no killing. No animals will die. The lion and the lamb will be together, and here's the deer. A completely vegan diet. At the turn of the century, Seventh-day Adventists had the Battle Creek Sanitarium, and this is part of our history. Dr. John Harvey Kellogg was a very prominent physician in the United States and surgeon who was a leader in preventive medicine and really probably did more to promote vegetarian nutrition at the first part of the 20th century in the United States. And that's the Battle Creek Sanitarium located in Battle Creek. And it was an institution for health reconstruction. This is some of the medical staff there. There's Dr. Kellogg. Looks like Colonel Saunders. But I can tell you about Dr. Kellogg. He was against chicken and beef and eating any meat and believed that, we were designed to go on an all-vegetarian diet. He wore a white suit because he believed that symbolized sanitation and cleanliness. He always wore a white suit. And he did all the health education at the sanitarium, teaching about vegetarian nutrition. Dr. Kellogg started the health food industry in the United States. He invented peanut butter as one of the first meat substitutes. He invented all those vegetarian meat substitutes. He started and originated that, made from nuts and grains and beans and so forth. He was a real leader and, of course, rode his bike every day and met with some of the world's leading statesmen, and people from all over the world came to the Battle Creek Sanitarium to get on a healthy vegetarian diet. You got plenty of rest, you exercise. That's Dr. Kellogg in his 90s, by the way. You can see it was quite a place, and they all promoted a vegetarian diet. They did hydrotherapy, water therapy, all natural type of healing. Massage therapy was very important at Battle Creek. Nutrition, of course, was the cornerstone of what the Battle Creek Sanitarium was popular for. Only vegetarian food was served. No meat was served at all. The health food industry started at the Battle Creek Sanitarium. These are where your first vegetarian food products and first health food products came out of, is Battle Creek, the Battle Creek Food Company. Now, Seventh-day Adventists in more modern times have been an ideal population for studying from the scientific research. As I mentioned, Adventists don't smoke, don't drink alcohol. 50% of Seventh-day Adventists follow a vegetarian diet. The recent study that just came out this past year shows that Seventh-day Adventist men who are vegetarian live 9.5 years longer than the average American. Vegetarian women, Adventist women, live 6.1 years longer. Adventists have half the risk of stroke, heart disease, and almost 100% less risk of lung cancer because Adventists don't smoke, so that makes sense. Breast cancer, comparing populations, normal Californians, non-vegetarian Adventists, and vegetarian Adventists, colorectal cancer is halved. Adventists, this is Californians, this is vegetarian Adventists, even have less heart disease than the Japanese in Japan. And if you go further and looking at prostate cancer, Adventist men who are following vegan diets have significantly less prostate cancer to the average American living in California and even other Adventists. The Adventist Church does teach that there will be a time when we need to discard milk, cream, and eggs, because most Adventists follow a lacto-ovo-vegetarian diet. Wait until the circumstances demand it, and the Lord will prepare a way for it. Some controversy in the church is this the time we should do away with eggs and dairy products because they're not safe? I believe it is, and many of our church members are going vegan. We believe, of course, Jesus Christ was the greatest physician of all, and His healing power is important today as it was when He was alive, walked here on earth, and He forgives us for our iniquities. Healing came not only miraculously from prayer, but also by following nature's processes or his laws of eating healthfully, getting exercise, and following the healthy lifestyle habits in nature. 3 John 2 says, prosper and be in health even as thy soul prospereth. Our founder, Ellen G. White, says, eating, drinking, and dressing all have a direct bearing upon our spiritual advancement as well. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Westerdahl. Our next speaker represents the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Kuca Devi Dasi joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1969 and was initiated in 1970 by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Govinda Dasi entrusted Kuca and Jayashri Prabhu with the Tulasi seeds that grew to become the first Tulasis worshipped in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Kuca is the temple president of the Honolulu Temple and a member of the GBC Women's Ministry. She is the Grishasta and Community Development Minister of the GBC, helping householders and families improve the quality of their spiritual lives. She is putting together a Grihasta application and education process for sincere souls seeking to commit to the happy devotional lifestyle of married life. She is the Vice President of Aloha International Peace Center, which is dedicated to promoting peace through spiritual means worldwide. Please welcome Kuca Devi Dasi.
Thank you very much. I don't know, I'll probably not take 15 whole minutes up, but for the devotees, we consider ourselves devotees of the Supreme Lord. We believe that anybody that believes God is a person is a devotee. So I'm sure that we have a lot of devotees here. We believe that we dedicate our lives, whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we give away, any of the activities that we are engaged in, we do it as a sacrifice to God. It's real important to us. So even what we eat, vegetarian diet, we try to do everything in the mode of goodness, our actions in the mode of goodness. We observe some rules and regulations. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't have illicit sex, no gambling, and no intoxication. So these are 4 don'ts, but we have many wonderful do's, like we get up early in the morning and we sing and we dance for God. And we offer all of our pure vegetarian mode of goodness food to the Supreme Lord first. This is a verse from Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is saying that whatever you do, if you offer to me with love and devotion a leaf, a fruit, a flower, these things I will accept. He doesn't say offer me meat, fish, or eggs. He wants things that are in the mode of goodness. And so there are many, many shlokas or verses in the Vedas that explain not to kill, ahimsa, nonviolence. It's very, very important. And one of the ways that we're trying to live a very pure lifestyle, so to be free of sin, that's real important. And even breathing in and out, so many microorganisms are killed. So that's why we're trying constantly to think of God, think of God, think of God. And so for devotees, the easiest way to do that is to always be chanting His name, always be thinking of God's name. So for us, the Maha Mantra, or the supreme chant of, as you all know, it's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Whatever name of God is your tradition, you chant that. We're not, here to convert you, but you say the name of God. Before you take your pure vegetarian food, you offer it to God. Then that becomes even divinely touched. It becomes what we call prasadam, or mercy of God. So the pure, wonderful food that you vegans and vegetarians are eating, please now make it even better by offering it to God. That will make your life divine and pure and ecstatic and connected. It's so important that we take these beautiful foodstuffs and we offer it to God. So, one of the things for devotees, one of the beliefs is that if we believe there's 8,400,000 species of life, and all of them are beautiful. All life forms have soul. They all are persons. Just because they happen to be in a dog body or cat body or a cow body doesn't mean they don't have soul. They all have soul. So for that soul, we want to do what's best for that soul. I mean, Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, I remember it was 1970, we were growing sprouts. And he said, make sure every sprout gets offered. So every soul of those plants gets offered to God. Don't waste one of them. So it's really important, even we're vegans, all of these things, still, let's offer everything, all that we eat, to the Lord. And then we will benefit hundreds and thousands and millions of souls. What beautiful thing is that? That their life becomes divine. Their life becomes mercy of God. And our life, it's like good association. We can preach to the plants, preach to all the little sprouts and everything really sweetly. Now, one of the other things that we believe is we believe in transmigration of the soul. That's like taking Darwinism and transcendentalizing it. Because the Vedas speak about these 8,400,000 species of life and how we start out in the little amoeba body and then we go from that tiny little body into the next more complicated, maybe go into a two-celled form and maybe a three-celled form. And then we get to this more advanced forms, maybe from algae to a fancy plant with a flower on it, and then we get a bird body, and we go all the way up till finally there's three forms: the cow, the monkey, and the tiger. Those three, they represent the cow, the mode of goodness, and the tiger, the mode of passion, and the monkey, the mode of ignorance. From those three forms, the next birth is human birth. But if we take one of those lives and we interrupt it, then that poor soul has to take birth in that species all over again. It's a do-over. They have to take birth again. You've interrupted the natural flow, progression of that person. It is a person, after all, with a soul, just like you and just like me. He's got to become maybe a flower again or whatever it is. So we take everything, even the vegetation, and offer it to God. Because in so doing, that is non-violent, because everything is being offered to God. It's very important. But if we take the cow, like these poor cows, they're being killed. Our spiritual master says this is the very violent thing. And for this violence, there will be the slaughterhouse of war on the planet. If we have the slaughterhouse factories here, then guaranteed our children will be sent to the slaughterhouse war. It's horrible, the violence that we're doing to our own children. We're eating our mother cows. She's considered one of 7 mothers. And then we're sending our sons to the slaughterhouse war. So there's great violence that goes on in this unconsciousness of living without personalism. That you're a person, the grass is a person, the plant with the flowers is a person. We ask the plant, may I pick your flowers? I'm going to offer you to God. Is it okay? We pick the flowers, and we know the plant is very happy because its energy is going to God. So our life is divine, and we know that wherever we go, we're benefiting people, and we become very happy. It's a non-violent, God-conscious, very sweet life, very happy life. I wrote lots of quotes from the different scriptures so that I could be really prepared. Here it's saying in the Manusmriti, it says, by not killing any living being, one becomes fit for salvation. We have to live a good life to even be recognized, if we're simply, one other thing in the Mahabharata, it says, those who purchase flesh, those who commit violence, those who transport the flesh, those who raise the animals for slaughter, those who actually tie and kill the animal, those who bring the flesh, send it, purchasers, sellers, one who cooks or eats it. All of these are considered meat eaters. So not only is it the person who's eating the flesh who's karmically involved, it's the person who's selling it. We wouldn't sell meat. We wouldn't bring it in our car to give it to somebody because we know there's really bad karma in participating in the whole deal. So, this is in the Mahabharata. It's Anu 115, Shloka 40. And then in Srimad Bhagavatam it says, those who are ignorant of their real duty and they account themselves as very virtuous, they kill animals without any feeling of remorse or fear of punishment. Further, in their next lives, such sinful persons will be eaten by the same creatures they have killed. One of our artists made this beautiful painting. It was a cow with a man's head, and then they had a man with an axe up like this, raised up like this, with the cow's face. And originally in the Vedas, there was provision for animal sacrifice. But the mantra, which I even have here, it has the word mamsa in it. Mamsa means mom, ma means mine, and sa means he. So the mantra actually said, I will kill you now, but in the next life you'll kill me. You'll kill me. What a deal. Ooh, I want that one. Sure, I want you. I'm going to eat you now, and then you can eat me later. I wouldn't want that kind of a deal at all. Because we're seeing that these beautiful animals, I mean, some of them, cows, they've got the most lovely eyes, beautiful eyes, soulful eyes. And Krishna is very fond of cows. And in the scriptures it says, as far as cows are concerned, everything about them is pure. It says panchagavya. Anything coming from the cow, the yogurt, the ghee, and the milk, all these items, they're used in Vedic sacrifices. I know we have a lot of vegans here, but I was raised, my great aunt, they had a cow up in Kahalu, and they had a 5-acre place there, and that cow was like a pet. That cow was just like their family pet, we might have a dog, and that cow had one baby, and that cow gave milk forever. Never quit giving milk because that cow was loved. And when I was a little girl here in Hawaii, Meadow Gold had this spokesperson, Lonnie Moo, and she had a little lei on, and it said, milk from contented cows. So all of the things coming from Mother Cow, all of these items we use for bathing ceremonies, in special rituals and everything, it's very, very sacred and very pure. I know the vegans might be a little upset with me, but that is according to the Vedas. So I'm going to represent the Vedas because the Veda is also one of our 7 mothers. From the Veda, we can find out who our Father is, God. The mother says, yes, God is like this, God is like that, God is like this. And we know, okay, that is how our Father is. So we believe our Mother Veda. Oh, here's the thing. Food offered as a sacrifice to the Lord in love becomes divine mercy of God. And this food nurtures the body, the mind, and the soul, and it tastes better because it satisfies the real self. We don't agree with the modern dairy industry, to be honest with you. The way that milk is gotten, veganism is completely comprehensible to me, because if we had our cows as our pets that we loved wonderfully, one family member, that's another matter. But what's happening in the world today with the dairy industry, it's abominable. It's truly abominable, very sad. We are addicted to God's mercy in the form of divine food. We do have a Govinda's restaurant, and we have a monk's lunch every day from 11 to 2. It's $5 all you can eat. And all the vegan things are labeled. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kuca Devi Dasi. Our next speaker is Reverend Fat Wai, Abbot of the Shuyun Temple of the Chinese Buddhist Association of Hawaii. He functions as the acting spiritual head of the order. He has been in Hawaii since 1956 and has been teaching the Buddha's sutras for more than 30 years. He speaks English, but to facilitate things, he will have a translator. Ms. Shirley Lum, a teacher at McKinley High School, will do some translating. Please welcome Reverend Fat Wai.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy attending the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii. Tonight I'm happy to speak about the vegetarian and the Buddhist religion. My English is not too good. I speak in Chinese. Chinese English by Shirley Lum. Now I speak in Chinese. Okay. 释迦牟尼佛
The compassionate Sayamuni Buddha, throughout his 49 years of teachings to the world, the concepts of compassion and kindness were his path toward world salvation. The first character, Qi, is compassion and mercy. Qi brings happiness to all living beings. It is like when people who are faced with difficulties, whether it is a physical hardship or mental suffering or lacking of basic materialistic needs. It is the Buddhist concept of Qi that drives and compels the followers to help others who are in need. One helps according to the situation by doing what he or she can to bring more blessings and fortune, happiness to others. This type of rightful heart and mind is unconditional across time, space, and place. The second character is Bei. Bei is sympathy. That is, Buddhists have sympathy towards all living beings. What does this mean? Buddhist disciples all need to have a compassionate heart and mind, and a sense for pityness, especially when they see others suffering. This is the principle of self-suffering, personal suffering. Buddhist believers all perform acts unconditionally to eliminate other sufferings. Once again, this compassionate, rightful heart and mind transcends across time, space, and place. Therefore, the first basic precept of the Buddhist teaching is do not kill, do not take away a living life. Buddha preaches that every living creature all possess a soul and a spirit. To kill a living life is extremely cruel, brutal, and very heartless. All living animals, including human beings, have the awareness and the sensitivity of suffering, and accordingly, they all desire to live. They are afraid of death and dying. At the moment of being slaughtered and being killed, their vital life signs will sense danger, and they are in a state of fear. The victim desires to resist the attacker, but is helpless to fight back. In the end, the living creatures will succumb to their own physical death. While the victim spirit journeys on to another world for rebirth, there is still much anger and rage within the innocent victim. The killed creatures, meanwhile, does not forget his or her attacker until one day in the future he will seek retaliation to revenge against his enemy. This vengeance between the victim and attacker remains forever as both sides continue to mutually harm one another. Therefore, there will never be eternal peace and lasting harmony between the two parties in this world. Buddha says, a person who kills life and devours the flesh is without a compassionate heart. She will receive the punishment in the Buddhist principle of the cause and effect. A present-day example of this cause-effect is the rare and uncurable diseases of cancer, which are common, especially among those people who love to harm living creatures. Those people in general have developed ill feelings of guilt or a bad conscience which surrounds them. In the remaining days of their lives, they will experience these dead spirits hovering, haunting, and even suppressing them. There will be loss of normal thoughts, and they will experience great sufferings. Therefore, it is important that we should not kill living creatures nor eat the flesh, meat. In conclusion, point number 1, why should we not eat meat? The Buddhist vegetarians, they reflect and they possess a calmness of their inner hearts and minds with their beliefs and practices of Buddhism. Buddhists are at peace. Buddhists are compassionate towards all living creatures, including human beings, birds, fishes, and even insects. Buddhists do not bring harm to living beings. More importantly, not taking away life, to not kill, is the first Buddhist principle. Buddhists not only do not kill, but we also need to set free all living creatures. Point number 2. What are the benefits of eating vegetables? On a whole, vegetarians are physically well cleansed from impurities within their body systems. Vegetarians have fewer illnesses, better digestion, fewer cases of diabetes and heart problems. Vegetarians are healthier and tend to live longer. It is my wish that everyone begin to practice and develop better eating habits with more vegetables in their diet and ultimately become a true and pure vegetarian. On behalf of Reverend Fatwai, he would like to thank all of you for your kind attention. Amitofo. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Fatwai, and thank you, Shirley Lum. Our final speaker is Ramdas Lamb. Ramdas Lamb is the graduate chair of the Religion Department of the University of Hawaii at Manoa. He received his doctor's degree in Asian religion from the University of California at Santa Barbara and has been teaching at the University of Hawaii since 1989, focusing on comparative religion, contemporary religion, and mysticism. He was a Hindu monk for nearly 9 years and has been a vegetarian since 1968. Professor Lamb will be giving us an overview of religions that promote a vegetarian diet. Please welcome Professor Ramdas Lamb.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. I'm going to try to give a little overview on what we've heard tonight, and basically what we have heard is the 3 different traditions talking about the role of vegetarianism in their own practices and in their beliefs. And I think that what we can see is that there is a thread that runs through religious traditions, in fact runs through human history, that points to the reflection of humans on why we're here. Very early on, those whose job it is to do the reflection, because there are those who cook and there are those who do all sorts of things, farm and hunt and do everything. And inevitably in every society and in every culture there have been those who have been picked upon or chosen to reflect on why we're here. And inevitably, people who begin to reflect on the real meaning of existence tend to take an attitude towards life and towards the relationship to nature quite different than others. We call them mystics, we call them ascetics, hermits, etc. Now, the earliest that we know historically of the practice of asceticism, 5,000 years ago in the Indus Valley area in what is now Pakistan, used to be India until 1948. We find archaeological evidence of lone individuals living in caves above habitations, above the urban habitations. These were clearly not outcasts, and there's a variety of reasons that would suggest to us this, that they had communication. We don't see any bones in their habitation, which clearly suggests to us that they were vegetarian. In fact, the habitation of the people in the area was vegetarian. So the earliest that we know of people practicing a vegetarian lifestyle, individually and in mass, is probably in this valley area, pre-2500 BC. After 2500 BC, there were floods, and it kind of destroyed the area, and then other things happened. Now, it is from this place where we get the beginnings of what really becomes vegetarianism for three of the world's major religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. The first two that we've had represented, I think, very well tonight. Jainism being the third. The practice of vegetarianism becomes integral in all of them for a reason. And it's an interesting connection here. Concept of karma, the concept of reincarnation of souls, and the concept of nonviolence. And they're all fit together very well. And this is how it was understood, and this is where the practice of vegetarianism came. The Jains have a concept that there are 148 different kinds of karma. Okay? Now, karma, for those of you who are not familiar with the term, as you sow, so shall you reap. Okay? For every action, there is an equal opposite reaction, or what goes around comes around. Okay? This concept becomes very important to ascetics in the Indus Valley 5,000 years ago. And they notice, in reflecting on life, that when good actions are done, good actions come back to you. And so they hierarchically place the actions in life. And the highest actions: love, compassion, charity, forgiveness, truth, nonviolence. In fact, truth and nonviolence are the highest. And the lowest, lying and killing, violence. And so they say that for the purpose of liberation, it is important that we work to dispel the negative karma, the weighing down karma of the negative actions, and replace them with good actions, with the eventual hope that one will even stop the consumption of all forms of life. It's alive and then it's dead. What's the difference? That life force that we might call the soul or the atma or the jiva has gone. So if something can die, that means it had a life force. Can you kill a plant? Yeah. But the idea of not eating animals, very, very important. Because this causes karma. And if it causes karma, as you sow, so shall you reap. You kill. If you don't get killed this time, you got to come back to get killed. So reincarnation fits into it. So you've got the practice of nonviolence leads to positive karma, which diminishes the needs for reincarnation, or which creates a reincarnation in a higher state of being. Now that's what the very early shamanic or ascetic traditions in the Indus Valley kind of evolved. And this is where we get vegetarianism, in that area of the world. And it really is historically, chronologically, the earliest. And that's where we get Jainism, Buddhism, and Hinduism all share these concepts. And they divide it up a little bit here and there. The Hindus have a certain view of it, and Buddhists have a bit of a different. But essentially it comes down to that. It's these three things tied together. So if you don't want to suffer, don't cause suffering. Okay? If you don't want to be killed, don't kill. And these are these concepts, and they develop, and they get elaborated on. And we do clearly see them elaborated on in Jainism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Now, Let's go to the other side of the world, or the other side of the religious world, because that's where important religious traditions have developed. The other place that we have important religious traditions developed is the Middle East. Okay? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And we find very early on in Judaism, Genesis, Dr. Westerdahl mentioned it. Genesis talks about the importance of the vegetarian diet that is given. That's the pristine diet. And another thing that's said there, animals don't hurt each other either. Okay? So in the ideal world, in the world that is in practice of the presence, in the world of the presence of the divine, violence is not to happen. And we find this in the Jewish tradition. Now, subsequently, after the fall, and then after Noah and the flood and all of these things, when there are no, and he mentioned this, Dr. Westerdahl mentioned this, there is a temporary allowance for the eating of flesh. I think with the idea that that is going to be stopped. Now, there have been many rabbis throughout history in Judaism that have said to be a good Jew is to practice vegetarianism. Increasingly now, the current rabbi of the city of Haifa in Israel is a vegetarian. The first rabbi of the state of Israel was a vegetarian. So vegetarianism has been practiced and is an integral element in some aspects, especially in the mystical. The Kabbalists, the mystical Jews, vegetarianism was kind of seen as an important element. Christianity. Now, there are those that say Jesus was a vegetarian. I have no idea. I wasn't there. Okay? However, we do get from him, or from the teachings attributed to Jesus, a real emphasis on as you sow, so shall you reap. Now, it doesn't take a whole lot to, if we're one who's going to reflect on that, it doesn't take a whole lot to think, well, okay, then if I sow violence, then I'm going to reap violence. And this is why Christian ascetics, starting with the Desert Fathers in the 4th century, and then going into the rule of Benedict in 530 and on, you get the emphasis on the practice of vegetarianism for ascetics. And I'm talking about Christian ascetics now, but if we look at Muslim ascetics, and we look at Hindu ascetics, and we look at Buddhist ascetics, and we look at Taoist ascetics, and we look at ascetics around the world, the practice of vegetarianism has kind of been a no-brainer for many of them. Because if you're going to have an interior life, then you're not going to do things that are going to lessen your ability to go inside. And the things that weigh you down to the flesh and weigh you down to the physicalness is what you eat and what you think. But what you eat clearly affects what you think. And so there is a practice of kind of an overhaul of the life. Lighten it up. Lighten up the diet, lighten up the body, lighten up the attitude, lighten up the soul. And so we find in the Western traditions, clearly vegetarianism integral, albeit not like we do in the Eastern traditions, but clearly it is there. Trappist monks. Today, ever since the Vatican II, 1961, there has been a change. Trappist monks today, Catholic monks, each monastery has their choice of practicing vegetarianism. Many of them do. And they do because they understand it from two levels. The ethics of it, and also the idea of abstinence. And let me mention this. There are 5 reasons that we see the practice of vegetarianism having been done in world religions, ethically. The killing of souls, the killing of beings, violence. Okay, and this is an important one. And that's what we find in the Eastern traditions. The Western traditions, we get more of a health idea as far as in Judaism and in Islam today, the restrictions on diet seem to have essentially had health roots, though ethics do come in. So we've got ethics as well. So we've got ethics and we've got health. We've got karma, concept of karma. We've got the environment. And I can go into that. I don't need to, because it's not directly tied to religion, though it is important to see the kind of environmental waste that is perpetrated by the flesh industry. Abstinence, and this is a big one. And this is one that in America we don't have a lot of understanding or practice of. We don't know how to abstain. We know how to indulge, but we don't know how to abstain. Abstinence is a really important element. Okay? All the monastic traditions, all of the mystic traditions, the people who are powerful are the people who abstain. the renouncers, the ones who are ability to have the willpower. You want to get strong? Strength comes through abstinence. Strength comes to being willing to say no. Just say no. Okay? Just say no to the indulgences. Just say no to the seductions. Just say no to being seduced by the things of the world. And this doesn't mean to not enjoy the world. But once again, I'm talking from a religious perspective, that this concept of abstinence, and those in the religious traditions who have practiced abstinence, of all sorts, abstinence, sexual abstinence or sexual continence, dietary abstinence, not smoking, not involved in any kind of drugs, or even speaking. Okay? And there are various forms of abstinence. What these do is force you to reflect on who you are. And this is what we see in the variety of world traditions, that abstinence has become an important element in the spiritual path. And so abstinence of those things that will bring you down and immerse you more into the dualistic material world. So in essence, what we find in world religions is, for these reasons, for ethical reasons, for karmic reasons, for environmental reasons, for health reasons, and for abstinence reasons, willpower reasons. And though we find it more common in the Eastern traditions, clearly there is roots of it in the Western traditions, there is an increasing, or let's say maybe even a resurgence of understanding of the importance of nonviolence and vegetarianism, even in Islam. There is a website, I think it's called MuslimConcern.org. It's written by Muslim vegetarians. So there is really an awareness that is happening worldwide about the importance of the diminishing of violence in our world. And as Reverend Fatwai said, you promote violence, and we have a violent world. If we want to stop a violent world, and I think all of us do for our families, for ourselves, is we want to stop a violent world. Well, one of the ways we can stop it is by stopping it in our own lives. And I think that that's what religious traditions have told us, is that we begin with ourselves and we work outward. And that's what ascetics did, and that's what mystics have done, and that's what the practitioners of nonviolence around the world have done, is they've tried to start in their own lives and then they've moved on out. And so I would like to say that I really enjoyed listening to all three discussions tonight, and I think it's important for us to see things from a variety of perspectives. I'm a comparativist, so I look at religions. I don't look at a religion. I look at religion and how religion functions in human life. And I think that one of the most important things about religion is that it gives us a foundation on which, it gives us a path in which to move. It gives us a foundation in which to build the edifice of our beings. And ethics is really the glue that puts that together. And I think that nonviolence is the beauty that makes it real. Anyway, okay, that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ramdas Lamb. Please stay and speak to our guest speakers with any questions that you may have. There are food samples from Govinda's restaurant and from Down to Earth available in the kitchen. Finally, thank you very much all for coming. Thank you very, very much.
This program is brought to you by the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii, a nonprofit organization dedicated to sharing with the community the many benefits of a vegetarian diet. 3 monthly meetings include vegetarian experts found locally and on the mainland, quick and easy cooking demonstrations, and healthful and delicious food samples. Members enjoy an informative quarterly newsletter, social activities, and discounts at many vegetarian-friendly restaurants and health food stores. For an application, call 944-8344. That's 944-8344. Or visit our website at www.vsh.org. vsh.org.